The amateur Norwegian paratrooper Andres Helstrup managed to avoid a collision with a meteorite during his next jump. But in addition to this, he also managed to capture on the video camera, which was attached to the helmet, the moment of the falling meteorite. Bill Morgan was lucky at once in everything. He survived after he was hit by a truck, survived a clinical death, and to whom, after recovering, he bought a lottery ticket and won $17,000. When journalists made a report about him, he was asked to buy a ticket again, and this time he won an amount 10 times more. Vesna Vulovic was a flight attendant on a plane when he was blown up by terrorists. She fell from a height of 10 kilometers, and found that she remained alive, having gotten off with a fracture of her jaw, both legs and spine. She was paralyzed for several years, but a series of successful operations put her on her feet. In the period from 1993 to 2010, Joan Ginter won multi-million-dollar jackpots as much as 4 times, and the total amount of her prizes amounted to about $20.4 million. Ginter is a mathematician, and therefore many suspect that this American is somehow using science to enrich herself. Juliana Kopke is the only survivor of the plane crash in 1971. Lightning struck the wing of the plane, after which the aircraft fell from a height of 3,200. Because of the trees, it was extremely difficult to find the plane, so Juliana made her way through the jungle to people for 9 days, having deep cut wounds and a broken collarbone. We all saw how the most stubborn and desperate treasure hunters endlessly comb the beaches with metal detectors in their hands in the hope of finding something special. In 1980, Kevin Hiller found the largest gold bar ever discovered with a metal detector. The value of the find was estimated at more than $1 million. Chris Duddy and Michael Benson were on board the helicopter when he got out of a standing position and fell directly into an active volcano in Hawaii, where Chris and Michael spent almost 2 days surrounded by boiling lava and gas-fired gas until they were finally rescued. Besides the fact that Orlando was lucky to become a successful film actor, he also survived a bunch of complex bone fractures. During his life, he had already broken his left arm, left leg, right wrist, right leg and several ribs. 3 times, Bloom had a crack in his skull. During a rugby game, the actor broke his nose, and 1 more time he fell from the roof and broke his back. Lightning strikes people not so often, and far from everyone is able to survive such an accident. Roy Sullivan received lightning as much as 7 times in 35 years, and every time he survived. Each time he was hospitalized with injuries of varying severity, but this never stopped the lucky one. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt survived the attempted murder thanks to a convolution from a 50-page manuscript, which he put in his breast pocket. When the attacker shot the politician in the chest, the bullet was very restrained by the contents of his pocket, and she only got to Roosevelt's rib, although she had to kill him on the spot. In 2013, while walking a dog in the backyard of his house, a couple discovered an old rusty jar sticking out from the ground. When the find was brought into the house, inside it was found a whole bunch of gold coins. Then the husband and wife went back to the courtyard and found 8 more such cans in the ground. And in total there were 1,400 rare 19th century gold coins in this cache. Treasure was valued at $10 million. Timothy is a lucky bumpkin to whom fortune smiled all his life. Nature endowed him with business acumen and ingenuity, depriving him of any abilities to study. His friends made fun of him, giving him wrong or unsuccessful advice in terms of commerce, but in the end everything turned out to be the best for Timothy. Fran Selak from Croatia is called the happiest person in the world in many media. And all because he managed to avoid death 7 times. The man also survived several car accidents. On top of all this, he decided to play the lottery and won $1 million. Japanese Tsutomu Yamaguchi is one of the few people who survived the only 2 atomic bombings in the history of mankind in the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. He became the only person officially recognized to have survived after both bombings. In 1989, Elmer Sherwin won the $4.6 million jackpot by playing slots at a Las Vegas casino. Later, already in 2005, on the same slot machine he got a jackpot of a total of $21 million. In 1949, the Daykov brothers, Pavel Petko and Mikhail from Bulgaria simply dug the earth in search of clay, when suddenly they discovered something much more valuable. And the Daykovs unearthed a real ancient treasure, ceremonial objects made of gold dating back to the 4th century BC. Virginia Ficke won the lottery twice on the same day. She accidentally filled 2 tickets with a combination of numbers, which has been composed since the year of the wedding of her parents and their age. The combination turned out to be correct, and both tickets were winning, each valued at $1 million. Once, while repairing and remodeling a house, David Gonzalez found a 1938 comic book edition hidden in a wall and wrapped in a newspaper. The bullet was very restrained by the contents of his pocket, and she only got to Roosevelt's rib, although she had to kill him on the spot. In 2004, Mary Graham from Canada, she lost the ring, weeding the hailstones on the family farm. He bought a similar, but cheaper ring, which she wore as though nothing had happened all these years. 13 years later, her daughter-in-law, who is now living on a farm, unexpectedly revealed the secret by finding a ring as she washed a crooked carrot dug from the mud dug in the garden for dinner. Jason and Jenny Cairns Lawrence managed to undergo a terrorist attack 3 times, in September in New York, despite all the misadventures. This couple is very optimistic and looks to the future without fear.